and are like, well, this is the way we've always done it. Okay, but I get that. And that's been awesome to this point. But as life, we're constantly evolving, where we should be constantly evolving to become better. So it's kind of one of your main thing.
Yeah.
Go make a damn difference. How are you, pursue perfection and settle on excellence. It's always that constant pursuit. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be, where you're watching this or listening to this. If this is your first time here, I am Blair Armstrong of Team Armstrong Coldwell Banker. I am a global luxury specialist in the world of residential real estate here in the Coachella Valley. If you don't know where that is, if you're listening to some other part of the world, the United States, Coachella Valley is like Palm Springs, Palm Desert, La Quinta, Rancho Mirage, Indio. If you've been any one of those places, that's the Coachella Valley. This is Old Guys Still Rock podcast. This is going to be the best episode you've ever seen or heard. If this is your first time here, if you've been back a couple episodes, remember we have 86 other episodes to get after. And
it's crazy.
It's been awesome. We've been consistent. We've changed days here and there, but I don't think that we've missed a week over 86 episodes. It might have been a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Thursday, possibly a Friday, but we've always done an episode. So I'm grateful for that. And then on my left, possibly your right, is a good friend and co-host of this show, Brent Wright of Brent Wright Incorporated. He's located in beautiful, possibly foggy, overcasty, maybe sunny, Eugene, Oregon. We're going to find out here in a little bit because we're old guys and we talk about the weather.
That's right.
But Brent has many different hats, and we'll talk about that here, from payroll companies to property management in a roundabout way. He's bought and sold houses and rentals, detail shops, body shops. Him and his wife just opened up a wellness center about a year ago. And also one of the great things too, that he's just starting to come into. And again, if you want to know more about Brent or I, just go back to the past 86 episodes and really feel if we're going to be a fit for you. But Brent is a really good business coach, and a really good, just kind of like, hey, I'm stuck in life coach, which we're really going to talk a little bit about today. So what's up, my dude? How are you? What is the weather in Eugene today?
So it's warmed up to a balmy 23 right now, and mostly sunny. When I came in, it was about 17 degrees. So there's a big difference between 17 and 20. So yesterday started out like 20. It felt like we had a heat wave. Today, 17, little chilly this morning. Just a little chilly.
I will not complain about my 42 degrees today.
So on that, I received a thank you card and a swag box from one of my coaching clients.
Yeah.
They sent me a plethora of, I don't know if you know this, but Andy's company First Form actually makes their own gear, and they make it for other people. And so they had some branded gear from Hidden Falls Media. Thank you, Alex and Megan. Appreciate you. Sent me a big box of swag that's all First Form products, but it's
awesome.
It's branded HFM. And on top of it, the thank you card was a little emotional for me.
Yeah.
Was a little emotional. They conveyed their gratefulness in the amount of change that I have impacted in their business in the last 3 months. And it kind of makes you feel like you've hit your stride or in your calling when you're coaching clients and consulting clients or sending you things and thanking you. It's about the second or third time in the past 2 or 3 weeks that I've had that happen from a coaching client or a consulting client. And I do feel like I'm kind of hitting my stride with that. So it's not, I wouldn't say it's something new that I've been doing, but it's something new that I've been promoting. So I've been doing coaching for quite a long time and and teaching and helping people with their credit and helping people with their business credit and helping people with their budgets and a number of other things, but really focusing on a holistic approach has just been in the last couple of years. So thank you for always mentioning that. But
Yeah.
I feel honored. I feel proud to be able to help people. And it's not really a pride thing, but it does hit a little emotional chord with me. So that's been really good to see people helping people make a damn difference. That makes me feel good. So
Yeah, I mean, we talk about that a lot, man, and I think that's awesome. So, I mean, I think that's really cool. First of all, kind of how especially with that client, I know this, and not a lot of people know. Actually, it's irrelative, but the point of it is that you've taken your experiences, good and bad, right?
mm-hmm.
And over the course of 30 something years of being in business, and the wins, the fails, the wins, the fails, the fails, the fails, the wins. And even though, you know, what I love about your stuff is, even though that these guys may have been a different type of success, which we'll talk about today, and as we go into this, and I want you to read that quote we talked about before we came on here, but is their success may be a little bit different from your success, but sometimes it gets stuck. And then that one person or that one experience that you had that they're possibly looking for has
mm-hmm.
really helped them get over the edge and start progressing back forward and getting out of that rut, which sometimes is hard, and not be able to find it. And most of all, too, is having a successful business, which they do a pretty good job.
Yeah.
But being a successful business, knowing that there's a missing link, and really trying to like, hey, we need to reach out to other people until we find what that missing link is or where that rut is. And so I'm glad that they found you. I think it's pretty cool too. I looked at First Form stuff in the past. I'm like, God, that'd be cool, but just never pulled the trigger. So yeah, they have a really cool corporate line.
Yeah, one of them is a pullover, and if it's $150, it's if it's $1, it's $150. I'd be willing to bet it's $150.
Yeah.
Sure. But it's a nice pullover. It's beautiful. I'm gonna wear it this week. I'm gonna wear it proudly this week. Yeah. It's gonna be awesome.
Hey, dude, I can't wait to see it. Definitely send a picture of that. That's awesome. Yeah. They put the other company's logo on it too. It's basically their stuff. So they are making apparel now. So that's great. I mean, what a great.
So inside the band, it says First Form, but then it says Hidden Falls in the center right here with and the little V thing that goes. Yeah. It says HFM right there. So.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So let's get into it, man, because I think you just kind of, we led into this. So if you have that quote, and we'll just pour right into this and where we're going with this today.
I gotta remember my passcode. Yeah. So I posted this yesterday. It says we have to be willing to question. We have to be willing to try new things, or we'll never get better. We have to understand that the way things are, or the way that they've been done, is not the way that they have to be. You have to be willing to break from traditions or habits or creature comforts when we find they are holding us back instead of launching us forward.
Where did you find that? Do you remember?
I don't specifically.
It reminds me of a little Daily Stoic, but I don't know if that's where it came from.
It might be. It is. I believe it is Daily Stoic. Yeah, I believe it is Daily Stoic. So, yeah, it just kind of spoke to me yesterday, and I was like, I got to share this because this is something that I struggle with. I'm very consistent. So in 75 Hard and in the Live Hard program, it helps you to build consistency, which is a great thing. And acting on consistency is a tremendously beneficial thing in business and in life and in success. But sometimes being so consistent that you can be unwaveringly consistent probably holds you back. It's held me back. And so I can tell you that my wife, God bless her, she has to deal with me every day. So I have to give her some grace, and thankfully she's got God on her side to help her with that. dealing with me, that is. So I am unwaveringly consistent to the point of nauseum,
Mm-hmm.
and to the point of she probably, and I know this, that she does struggle with the way that I deal with things.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not on the calendar, it doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not communicated in such a way that I can absorb it, then I struggle with it.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, how many ways do you need me to communicate this? Like, the
Mm-hmm.
way,
Right. Yeah.
right? The
Yeah.
way, right? Well,
Mm-hmm.
that's not sometimes how other people need to communicate things. That's not how some people need to address things. I can tell you some of the worst days I've ever had and some of the best days I've ever had is when things were not on the calendar,
Mm-hmm.
and when things weren't planned, and when things weren't consistent. It's a double-edged sword for me. I'm probably a little bit on the spectrum. Um, I'm probably a little bit over the top OCD. And
Mm-hmm.
then when things aren't on my calendar, it really kind of it's a trigger for me. And I don't want to say I melt down now. I have in the past, but it's definitely held me back from growth a lot. And so that's why it really spoke to me. So yeah, probably Daily Stoic.
Yeah, I think, but I think that's definitely an issue with me if I don't, get up at 4 o'clock, do my daily devotional, do a couple pages of reading. Most recently, over the last, we're day 28 of this month, something like that today.
Mm-hmm.
Um, doing started with 7 minutes of meditation. Now we're in 10 minutes of meditation. Those things, if I don't get those accomplished, talking about having a routine, there's anxiety that builds in, like, oh my God, I got to get this done. And then when somebody asks you to do something outside that box, you're like, and you kind of go unwillingly, like, I got to get this done. And now you're asking me to do this. And then, which is not a big deal. It's not going to change your life at all from doing one little thing on the side stuff, but you get out of your
Throws you
routine.
off.
It grooves you out of the routine. And give me 2 seconds here. 1 second. Yeah, it throws us off. It happened kind of today. So I mean, since we're sharing life experiences,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going country club problems here, right here. So when you guys listen to this or watch this, whatever,
First world problems.
First world, it's a country club problem, brother. This one is a country club problem. So we're going into we have a golf tournament. It's called Member. So me and my good friend Kevin Cover, who's been on the show.
He's been on, yeah.
Has been on. And so we have this tournament, which actually starts today at 1 o'clock. We have this little horse race type thing, and it's the best whatever. And then we go into Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of different types of formats of 18 holes. So kind of mentally preparing for this. Really, at the end of the day, is we may win some money. We may finish last like we did last year, whatever, right? But trying to get everything like, okay, we have business that we have to attend to. So I got this stuff all set up. I'm kind of ready to walk out the door, and realistically, I'm not going to be home very much or mentally home for the next couple of days, just because my brain works there. And like, okay, I'm going to go get a workout in, get some mobility done the stuff. I'm literally have my bag and all the stuff walking out the door. Everybody knows what I have to do. And it's like, I hate when I say
you
this.
Take the trash out.
It was it's 5:30 in the morning. Hey, could you take the dogs out so I can go to the so they can go to the bathroom before you leave? And such a minuscule thing. And my response was like, in my head,
kidding me?
In my head, it was like, are you effing kidding me? And I'm like, and I kind of look, I'm like, sure. Like this is a major event, right? And I hate when I do it. So Chrissy, when I watch this, it's like, I should have said this to her. I didn't say this, but I hate when I do this. It's like, because then I come back and I meditate And I just like, that the meditation right now it's a visualization, but it's not looking at the goal, but just looking at how the process is unfolding for today.
An evaluation, if you will.
An evaluation, like, okay, be in this moment. What's your breathing like? What are the sounds like? Because if you concentrate on the goal, which I'm learning in this this visualization meditation type of thing, if you concentrate on the goal, if you have side notes to it, then you get frustrated and you build anxiety. And right now is you just got to understand and feel the process and the purpose behind it. So I'm learning that. And that's why I said to is like, when things get out of whack, I'm so regimented that I've got to learn that, hey, control the controllables. If something goes sideways, something goes sideways. Now, the weird thing about that world, what I just said, got upset about having to take the dogs out. In my world, like we said this a couple episodes, in my world of real estate, Chrissy was like, hey, what do you got going on today? Real estate. Well, what does that mean? I go, I have like 5 critical tasks. And besides that, it is controlled chaos because somebody will call, hey, I've got an inspection or I've got an issue with this contract over here. Oh, we want to go see this house in 20 minutes, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm a rubber band all over the place. And same thing with you, right? So I know we kind of went off on a side tangent here going about those stories, but those are type of things that if we don't learn to adjust and to learn how to get better, we're just going to stay in status quo and we're going to end up failing. And that's what I heard out of your quote.
Yeah.
Like it has to be this way and we're not going to change. And whatever we do, it's going to be this, 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 and this. And if it doesn't go this way, then tough on them.
So one of the triggers for me or key points to this, to go full 360, is to go back to my word for the year, which is value. So in your instance, in your situation, and in mine, can you go do this for me? Yep. Add value. Can you go do this for me? Yep. Add value. Can you do this thing? I know you're busy, but can you do this thing? Yep. Add value. So in my head, instead of going, are you freaking kidding me? Which I'm guilty of, it's add value. I just replace the narrative. And so the being adaptable part, I'm not great with, but adding value is something I've committed to. And so I have to switch it up and flip the script on myself in my head to not allow these things to trigger me, not allow these things to hold me back from growth. The amount of prosperity that has happened in my life by things that were not planned is exponentially greater than the detriment that it happened from it not being planned. And so why would I not surround myself in that mindset on a consistent, regular basis? Because consistency is holding me back from consistent growth. If that doesn't mess with your head, I don't know what will.
Well, it does. And, and I have this thing, and we kind of talked about this a little bit too, is, sometimes, and I'm going to use this as a visual. Sometimes, we're dealing with country clubs and philanthropies and nonprofits and stuff that I've been involved with, and probably you too, being on boards. Sometimes people will be on a board or multiple boards, and I'm going to just use this example, just how you can get stuck. And like, well, this is the way we've always done it. Okay, but I get that. And that's been awesome to this point. But as life, we're constantly evolving, where we should be constantly evolving to become better. So it's kind of one of your main thing.
Yeah.
Go make a damn difference. How are you, pursue perfection and settle on excellence. It's always that constant pursuit. And sometimes I feel, again, using a board, or we can just talk about business, or we can talk about relationships. This is the way it's always been. So let's keep it this way. And that's just,
that's a scarcity mindset.
right.
And we all struggle with that. Anybody who's, been alive for longer than 15 minutes struggles with scarcity, right? We come out of the womb, and the first thing we want is somebody to pay attention to us. We scream, and we get people's attention to help us. And we feel like we're, not going to ever have enough unless we keep on keeping on, right? And so it's no different than your marketing and business. If you stopped changing how you do your marketing in 1990, and you've just done it the same way since 1990 to today, do you think that there might be or might have been opportunities for you to change and have your marketing be more effective?
Yeah.
How many, TikTok, how many people are like, I don't want to get on TikTok. It's a Chinese, app and all these things and businesses. But yet the businesses that have become prevalent or fluent in TikTok, have 20 million followers.
It's right. And
have monetized it.
Yeah. And I again, going back, I think that is, we have to constantly look, okay, this has been good for a little bit. We're kind of on that cusp too. We hired a social media person to do all our social media. We had great results. How do we keep evolving that? Okay. So the next thing is we hire someone to do our, sit down with us every other week. Like, okay, we're going to put together a newsletter this week. What type of content? What are we going to focus on? Okay. What worked? What didn't work? So it's this constantly, evolvement of stuff. And then there may be a certain time that, you talk about selling houses. Okay. Do you just want to keep selling $500,000 houses, or do you want to sell $50 million houses? Well, that's a big difference. And so you have to constantly evolve. I just had a conversation with that last night with some really, really good friends of ours. And we're talking about it. We have a potential nice opportunity to get a listing. I mean, it will be one of the biggest that we've ever had. And then they go, that's exciting. I go, yeah, but it's just the next step.
Yeah.
It's like, that would be awesome. And it would be great. Listen, I'm going to have a great time doing it. It'll be exciting if God graces with us with that opportunity. But it's the next step. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, okay, but there's $10 million houses. There's $50 million houses. There's $40 million houses. It's not trying to fill a void. It is that constant involvement. How do we get there? How do we become better? How do we educate the team? How do we use our marketing to show that we're capable of selling those type of listings? And it takes time. But again, I could say, you know what? I'm just a stand-up writer. I'm going to sell $500,000 homes every single year and just head off into the sunset.
That's it. That's all I want to do.
And you can still be great at doing that. And there's people that are great doing that. That's fine. I just think that there is, said this many times before, God put us on here to be great. And chasing that perfection and settling on excellence is a big deal. And it just going, as I see a lot right now, and you deal with this a lot too in your business, it's worked in the past. So keep doing the same thing. And you're seeing what with your brain, which is awesome. That's why I said, guys, if you're watching this and really want like a different vision or different sight line, is really kind of reach out to Brent, and he can really kind of pull back the veil once in a while. Most of the time, he's helped me many times with that. But you're really good at seeing futuristic bumps in the road of, even though there are past experiences with you, like, hey, we're coming up onto this roadblock. If we do this now, we'll get right around it. But if we wait, we're just going to be stuck here, and it's really going to hold us back. And then everyone's going to be frustrated. Why can't we get to the next level? And even though I told you back here, or we started at least have a conversation, let's look at some different ways, because I see this coming, and this is what I've experienced in the past.
Yeah, I believe that I've you coming from the insurance industry, you know this word, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of folks do. It's called actuarial
Mm-hmm.
mindset. So actuaries are folks that take data and use that to reasonably, not psychically, reasonably predict the future based upon data sets. So I feel that that's been one of my God-given gifts, is to look at a data set and decide if I want to go left or want to go right. Now, often I decide to go left and it train wrecks, or often I decide to go right and it train wrecks. But the majority of the time, the decision for me to go right or left is a good decision. I would tell you that I'm conservatively 60 to 70% successful at making the right move. Very often, I'll get a partial way into that move and decide to pull back and take another path. Now, that's a whole different thought process. That's the evaluating the data as it's coming at you.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about this pre-show. I'm really good at seeing the possibility of a train wreck and not just getting ahead of it, but also trying to put on the brakes before we get there. And I don't know that a lot of people do that because, again, they're either inconsistently consistent, meaning that the only thing consistent about them is the fact that they have no consistency in anything, or they're so structured that they can't see the forest through the trees. Those are two opposite ends of the spectrum. And I try to kind of balance that. Again, typically I lean towards so structured I can't see the forest through the trees versus the other one. Um, but my focus over the last 10 or 15 years has been more of a balancing act and be adaptable. It's been a long road. My wife can tell you that it has been a struggle for me, and it'll be a struggle until the day I die. But I
Yeah,
try every day.
but that's good too. And I know we've talked about business, we've talked about, boards and stuff like that, and the relationships is, which we focus on once in a while too, is um, people become very, and I'm one of those at times, and working really hard to kind of get over that hump. Well, that's just the way I am. I'm too old to change. That's it's a really is, and going back to scarcity mindset, right? And those are just something that you just said back there, what triggered me to say that comment, which will help me kind of again help myself get better here in the future. But the last 2 weeks before today, we talked about relationships later in life, and like, well, I'm 55 or 45 or 65 or 75. That's just the way I am. And if you don't like the way I am, that's fine. Well, it's a comfort zone to say that you're okay with yourself, even though that you have baggage or you need fixing. So you don't want to get better. And it's hard for a lot of people to say, I do want to get better. I'm just not ready to, I'm scared
Mm-hmm.
to take it to open up that box and maybe go to the next level, or examining some things that I know that need to be examined and make adjustments to those things, excuse me, not to stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but to those things. So I'm glad that you triggered that. Because again, being very comfortable of your massive suitcase of crazy things that you carry around with you all day.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you need sometimes you need to pull out the gas can and light a match on
Yeah.
some of those things.
You know what's interesting is that talking with April about our last 3 or 4 podcasts, she says, you guys just kind of scratch the surface of things.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, you don't get too far deep into it. So we might want to go down that rabbit hole a little bit further next time and just kind of dig into some of these things. So,
Yeah.
if that's something that you feel like we should do, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah.
I don't, I often feel in these podcasts like we kind of exhaust all the narratives around the subject.
Mm-hmm.
And then I get feedback from somebody who listens. They're like, man, guys should have kept going. So I don't know. It's that balancing act that we talk about all the time.
You know what you're saying is we might have to go Joe Rogan.
Or at least a multifaceted,
Multifaceted, of
yeah.
course, because it's hard to, we want to. I hear you and I agree. We scratch the surface on a lot of stuff, and realistically, I think a part of us for a long time, again, getting better is okay. Let's scratch the surface and see what type of comments in. That's what Brent just said, and we get feedback live and stuff like that. Scratching that surface, and when you see that stuff, like, man, it's like, I thought you guys were going to go a little bit deeper. You should have done this, or this helped me. That's when we say, leave a comment and share the show. That's the point where we're looking for. So we can okay, yeah, we can go in depth of that. We could do a 4-part episode of this and really go over those stuff. But
without feedback, we don't know.
We don't know, right? It's like, it sounds really good in our head. And helps us out a bunch, and we go out and make the changes that we need to make. So when you see this, and you heard what Brent and April just said, and the same thing Chrissy says, I've heard it from Ken, I've heard it from other people too, is leave those comments. I know it takes a little bit of time, and you enjoy our episodes, and that's great, but that is how we can go back and okay, we're going to stay on this a little bit longer, or you get the point. I don't need to beat a dead horse. So yeah, man, we could do that. I also think, what I've been thinking about, because we've been last couple of episodes, obviously we've talked about our wives, is maybe we open up Pandora's box and get them on here and evaluate it a little bit. And, that's the best way is to, you do this, and this, and it drives me crazy. So we did whatever. I think that would be fun. We wouldn't have to pay $150 an hour for therapy.
Yeah.
But
well, what I can tell you is, I don't know if you get this same feedback, but I get this feedback from April often that she feels like the podcast has been beneficial for my personal growth on a lot of levels. One, getting me outside the box. I normally don't do this speaking thing to more than one person. It's kind of once removed, right? Because in my mind, I'm only talking to you, but not hundreds of people. And so that's been good for growth. The other part is really just dissecting every piece of who we are has been hugely beneficial.
Yeah, I thought you had more there. I was sorry for that delay.
I kind of do, but I kind of don't.
Okay.
I kind of don't know where to go with that. I just feel very grateful that we started this. It feels, it's comfortable today, but it wasn't comfortable on episode 1 through 10 at all in any way, shape, or form.
No, in going back to the same thing, we both have this. We have a servant leadership mindset, and so we're exposing our lives in front of it because we know that other people are going through it. In hopes that we reach a point. I'm reading the tipping point right now.
Yeah.
And it resembles a lot of this. Like, I hope one day that we hit that tipping point, that it goes from 60 subscribers to 600. And we're on that cusp of that. And that's why we keep doing it every day. And sooner or later that's going to happen. We're going to find that connector, and it's going to go to it. It's not going to make us better that we have 600 subscribers or 1,000 subscribers or whatever. The point is that we get to share experiences. We get to help each other get better. This is a community. This is not Brent and Blair getting better. This is not Brent and April or Brent or Blair and Chrissy to get better and so forth or whatever. This is to help realize we don't have a white horse, but we have community. And for us to get better, sharing experiences and being vulnerable, not like this kumbaya vulnerable, but being an alpha male vulnerable, which another episode we can get into, is going out there and share. So we're not living in the silo where it gets too much, that we make bad decisions that affect not only your life, but other people's lives as well.
Mm-hmm.
And, Brent and I have many conversations on the phone. That's what led to this podcast. We've had conversations on here. So tell us what your thoughts are. Are we not going deep enough? Would you want us to go deeper on this episode? Are you having a situation that this triggered that you worked through, or are you having this like, God, okay, you touched this. How do I get from point A to point B? We can pull you onto the show. We can talk to you over the phone. So you don't have to show your face or hold your name if it's because there's some anxiety to it, man.
Yeah.
Getting in front of this camera and talking, and then you start thinking like, oh my gosh, am I saying the right words? Listen, no one really cares what you look like and stumble over the world. You're doing it and you're helping inspire others.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's good, Matt. So maybe we scratch the surface today on some things.
Hopefully got some activity brewing in people's brains.
Yeah.
Break the consistency or add to it, depending upon which side you're on.
Yeah, for sure. So any final thoughts for you?
Just as always, just impact others in a positive way and go make a damn difference.
Yeah. Right on, man. We've said time and time again, God made you to be great. God made you to be a leader, regardless of what your mindset is of you. So do what Brent says, go make a damn difference, and share the freaking show. Leave us a comment.
Yep.
And until we see each other next week, stay safe. But most of all, God bless, guys. Thank you very much. Take care.